What is going on, guys? Chris here, and in today's video we're going to be trying out the Methods MoleCube. This is an insanely difficult puzzle that I really don't think I'm able to solve, but let's get started anyway. So the MoleCube is basically a 3x3 modification. We have basically all of the anatomy of a normal 3x3, except instead of having 1, 2 or 3 colour pieces like we do on a normal 3x3, each piece is one different colour. The aim of this puzzle is to ensure that every face has one of each colour without repeating. So you cannot have something like this where there's 2 black pieces on the same face, 2 purples, 2 blues. It has to be, well, it has to have all the variations. So an example of that would be like that. So we have 9 different colours and no repeats. The only difficulty with this is that this is now impossible because we have 3 light blues, 3 yellows, 2 greens, 2 purples, 2 blues. So you have to do that for the whole of the puzzle. And of course, as we know with a normal 3x3, there are 43 quintillion different ways that this can be permuted, and only one way that it can be solved. So this is pretty impossible, really, unless you know the one solved permutation. The problem with this puzzle is that it's an enormous amount of trial and error, because you can get all the way to the last layer thinking you have the solved solution and then you don't, because there's something further down the line that you've done wrong. However, there are some techniques that you can apply. There are a number of different types of combinations you get. So there's typically 3 of each colour. So we have black here, for example. So it's a black centre, a black edge and a black corner. And that's the same with the yellows, the oranges, and the light blues and the whites. The way that these combinations have to be solved, and I've kind of figured this out, there's only one kind of way that this can be solved, and that's if you have the unchangeable center on one face, and obviously you cannot have a repetition of that anywhere on the same face, and then you have the edge in the second layer off from the first one. So it's going to be in this slot, this slot, this slot, or this slot. And the reason for that is it cannot go anywhere else. You cannot have the black corner anywhere here, so it's none of these 4 pieces, meaning it has to go in the last layer up here. And if the corner's in this layer here, this black edge has to be in the middle layer. And obviously, if we have this black piece here, the only possible place for the black corner where it doesn't repeat on a face is opposite from it, over here. So it can't go here because then we have a repetition of black here. Can't go here because then it's quite obviously right next to the edge. Here it's on the same face, so it has to go back here. The obvious difficulty with this is that it can be permuted anywhere in the 4 sides. So it could be here, 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 or here and still work. So there's 4 possible combinations for the black. And obviously you have to work that around the other 3 colours which have the same combination of pieces. So if we're assuming that this black is correct, we have to work around that. And if you're building on a layer by layer basis, this becomes very difficult very quickly. Because let's say I'm trying to build the black face first, I know that I'm going to have to put a light blue edge somewhere in this layer. And this means it could be either next to the black, what we'll call cross, or on the opposite face up here. So that's why it's a lot of trial and error and a lot of undoing what you've already done. There's also the issue of other pieces. So for the reds and purples, there's also 3 colours. The issue with these is there's no centres or corners, so it's 3 red edge pieces. And there's also a set combination for this. So obviously we cannot have this red anywhere next to this red. So it has to go either here or here in the back. So let's just say it goes here. That means there's only one possible place for this edge, as it can't go here because it's matching with this red, can't go here because it's matching can't go here because it's matching, so it has to go back here. And this is the only suitable way that the three similarly coloured edges can go. So it's the same with the purple. So the purple has 3 edge pieces, 1, 2, 3, and the only way that this can work is if we put this purple over here. But obviously that also has to coincide with the reds and also the center edge and corner colours. On top of this, we also have the greens, and there's only 2 green pieces. And this is actually the most straightforward because they're both corners and there's only one way that this can be solved, and that's if they are exactly opposite each other, because any other way that these are permuted, they'll be matching. So like here, here, here. This is the only way that it works. So perhaps that's where you should start. The only problem being working around everything else is sort of impossible. But when I start solving, and I usually use black or white as the beginning, we'll do white in this case, I usually have a red and a purple edge in the first face. That's just because you're always going to have it on one face. So it's going to be touching the white at some point, so far as I can tell. And then I just kind of do trial and error, so I know that this yellow might not belong to this face, but I put it in anyway, and I make sure it's kind of coincides with where the center is. So it's going to be here, 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 or here. I know that, but I just have to guess to begin with. And then the black is here, meaning that this black doesn't belong on this face at all. So I know that that can disappear. So let's see what else there is. Let's see if that yellow goes there. We could have an orange here. So let's do that, and then we'll replace the black like that. So that's a fairly suitable combination for the first layer cross, because yellow and yellow match up, that's where they're supposed to go, and orange match up, and then we have these two, and we can deal with the other reds and purples when we get to it. Now there has to be a green here, somewhere on the white face that is, and the opposite one will be on the black face somewhere. I believe there has to be a black down here, and the black edge will be somewhere in this middle layer. So let's put the black in, just like that. And then what else is there going to be? So this is where it gets complicated, because opposite the dark blue, there's going to be a dark blue corner. And that could be down here, or it could be up here. So again, a lot of trial and error, a lot of solves that end up not being solved at all. And then we have a light blue here, meaning this light blue could go down here, but only if it's here or here. So I can't really account for that. However, if we have a yellow here, the yellow has to be up here. So that could work. That could work as a first face. No, it couldn't. This blue definitely works because of the center. This dark blue definitely doesn't work, so it's going to have to go back here or here. So we can do that. We have quite a lot of freedom with the black and the green to begin with. And there's a good first layer, because the centers are unmovable. So we have to make sure it works with the centers, and also the corners work with the centers. So we have opposite blue, that's all good. So now we move on to the second layer, and this is where it gets tricky, because you have to obviously work with all the other pieces. So a black edge has to go back here somewhere. So let's just pop it here for the sake of trying. Okay, so that works. It works with the corner and it works with the center here. Then we have to have a red edge somewhere around here, and it can't be one of these two, so it's going to be back here. And let's just put it in here for now. That's fine. And then we know that our purple has to be here or here. We already put black in, we've committed to that, so let's try that. And then finally, what do we have? So this is gonna have to be a white by the looks of things. So let's put that in. And obviously, any of these pieces can go elsewhere in this middle layer. So that's why it's so tricky to do. But let's see if we can get somewhere here. So going on the assumption that this is all correct, we now need to permute correctly. So obviously this might be wrong. There might be pieces in here that don't belong, but it should be alright for now. So there's obviously no OLL, so it's straight to PLL. And we'll begin with the corners. So the greens are already opposite one another. This orange is incorrect, and it will be incorrect here. So it needs to move up here. Oh, and that's not going to work either, because this orange is here. So no matter what we do, the orange will be wrong. And the only explanation really that you have for that is that one of these corners is incorrect. Or this orange here is incorrect. So what we could do is try and move it around. We could swap the orange and yellow around. Like that. And then this orange works here. And this green still works. And then the black works there. And the dark blue doesn't work there. And the dark blue is not going to work anywhere else. Unless there's something else wrong. And this is where the problem arises, because it means that the permutation of pieces that I've already built are incorrect. And you could keep on going over and over and over trying to solve it, and it just does not work. And this, I was going to say I could keep on trying to go round and round, but it's not going to make for a very good video, and I've already been going on quite a while. So this is what I mean. You can get the first two layers solved pretty easily, but getting the last layer done involves a lot of undoing what you've already done. And because there's not really any obvious way to hold this puzzle, if you mess up an algorithm, you've lost all your progress immediately. So yeah, that's why the MoleCube is so difficult and why it's seemingly so impossible. I have no doubt if you spent enough time with this puzzle and you remembered exactly where you were every time you put it down and what you were trying to achieve, this maybe would be possible. And I think we did a really good job of getting closer that time. That's probably the furthest I've gotten, just using basic logic and where the pieces kind of have to go in order to solve the puzzle. So yeah, it's a very, very enjoyable puzzle. I'm really enjoying it. It's nice when you get a puzzle that takes quite a long time to solve and figure out. I definitely encourage people to get this puzzle. It definitely makes you think about a 3x3 a lot more, and it will definitely improve your speed cubing and your spatial awareness, even if you're not really into non-WCA puzzles. But yeah, that's it from me though, guys. Not really a CanChrisSolve today, but a puzzle that I'm super interested in, and hopefully that I'll be able to solve at some point in the future. Anyway, that's it from me. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys next time.